You said you've looked into UFO cases in Australia. Tell me about the cases in Australia.
There are two cases in Australia that I've specifically looked at. One was back in the 70s with a family, the Knowles family, who were traveling through Perth, and they actually, while they were on the road, a UFO came down and landed on the roof of their car and lifted their car off of the road. And every member of the family had the same story to tell. There were, the tires blew out, there was damage to the car, so something happened. And there were other witnesses to this as well. So this is a very dramatic case out of Australia. For every one of these military UFO encounters, there's 100 civilians from all over the world who report seeing these things. So I wanted to focus on those individuals, give them a voice, show the world that everyday people are having these experiences, including an entire chapter dedicated to an individual in Sydney, Australia. So, I mean, this touches a deeply personal level for people all over the world.
I'm Richard Southern. Happy Friday. What's lurking up there in the sky? Here's a really interesting story. A Russian cosmonaut who is currently up there on the International Space Station right now has suggested he may have filmed a UFO in orbit. I want to show you the video he posted. This happened when he was filming the Aurora Borealis. He was doing a time lapse. Just into the time lapse, there's a few objects that appear. We're going to freeze it for you so you can get a good look at it. 5 objects appear flying alongside each other with the same distance in between them. Ivan Wagner, the cosmonaut in question, tweeted, quote, "What do you think these are? Meteorites, satellites, or ... He suggested they may have been, quote, space guests. Whatever they were obviously arranged in a clear, angled line. The cosmonaut says he sent his video to the authorities in Russia for further evaluation.
Scientists have detected the largest black hole or collapsed star in the universe, billions of light years from Earth. It is thought it was created when 2 giant black holes smashed into each other, creating a blast 8 times the energy of the sun, sending shockwaves through our universe.
Black holes are the monsters of the universe. Their gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. They suck in all that's around them, destroying stars and planets in their wake. This pipe in Louisiana is actually part of a sophisticated black hole detecting network of instruments. It detects gravity waves, ripples in space-time. Recently, it detected a black hole that was so large it shouldn't exist.
When we saw this for the first time, that it was such a heavy object, of course this was incredibly exciting because it really pushes to the limits our understanding of the origin of these black holes and opens up new ways of investigating, the creation and the evolution of such massive stellar objects.
A black hole is created when a star collapses in on itself, but the new one was too large to be produced that way. Instead, scientists think it was a merger of 2 black holes to produce one that was 85 times the mass of our Sun. And scientists observed it merging with another black hole to produce an even larger monster of 142 solar masses. That sent a shockwave across the universe with the explosive power of 8 suns, powerful enough to have been detected 100 billion trillion miles away on Earth.
The discovery suggests that across the vastness of space, black holes merge often and keep merging to become bigger and bigger.
I never know when I watch those stories whether to be incredibly excited or incredibly terrified.
I
find it so hard to get my head around it.
I thought when it said 2 huge pieces of energy smashing into each other, creating a blast 8 times the energy of the sun, that was about this election, the Biden-Trump.
Like it.
Key time right now, 6:55. A growing dent in Earth's magnetic field could impact satellites and spacecraft.
And the spot is called the South Atlantic Anomaly. It's being monitored by NASA. The magnetic field acts as a shield, protecting us from solar wind, which comes with particles, also radiation. According to the space agency, the dent is allowing those particles to get closer than before. This could have a negative effect as satellites pass through the area, knocking out their computers and interfering with data collection. So scientists are also monitoring how the South Atlantic anomaly could affect our own atmosphere. At least for now, NASA says it won't affect us here on Earth. Now this.
So I didn't just leave that to go chase monsters and ghosts. You know, I'm not stupid. I'm a pretty savvy guy. I've been brought into a group of people, and I'm a big part of a mechanism that is absolutely profound and already started changing the world, and it's going to do a lot more.
The US government is creating a new task force to investigate UFO sightings. It comes just months after the Pentagon declassified 3 videos captured by Navy pilots showing unidentified flying objects. It's exciting news for Ryan Sprague, who has spent years interviewing people who've had encounters with UFOs. Earlier today, I spoke to him about what he thinks the task force could uncover.
So when you look at, like, for me, like, you know, would I leave rock and roll just to go do something that there's no data for, and that it's just like pie in the sky and we're just imagining things? No, why would? I mean, that's insane. If you track what To the Stars Academy has done, you know, starting with the videos coming out in the New York Times, and then it moved on to the Navy admitted they were real, and that's a lot of work behind the scenes from To the Stars. Just a lot of guys on our team had to work hard to get to that point. And then a year later, the Department of Defense admitted these things are real, and then published the videos in a more formal way, in a capacity where people can get to them and see them and this and that. Those steps are just gigantic. I mean, nothing has happened in like 70 years on this topic that's substantial.
For 70 plus years, it was filled with stigma and ridicule and little green men in flying saucers. But now that the governments around the world are taking it seriously, that says something. So the entire landscape of this conversation has changed. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as time goes on, that something's happening in our skies and we cannot explain it.
So can you see a pattern in people's experiences?
I would say the biggest pattern I've come across in terms of people's experiences is how the event affected their lives. You know, we could have the same similar shape of an object these people have seen, or, you know, a location where it occurred. But for me, it always comes down to the human, the individual having the experience and how it changes their lives. And for some, it's a spiritual experience. For some, it's a otherworldly experience. And that's what I found most interesting, is these patterns within society and culture and how those affect what people are seeing and their perception of what they're seeing. I'm excited to have the opportunity to bring these stories to the public that have never been made public before.
Are we learning more and more that UFOs probably exist out there and it's real?
Well, certainly the Department of Defense is trying to let us kind of ease us into something that's really happening. And now you can't say UFO, well, you can say UFO, but actually they're calling them unidentified aerial phenomena now, because anything can be flying around and you don't know what it is. But yeah, it seems to me that they're definitely easing us into an enlightened stage, because so many things happen and there are so many sightings that really never make it to the TV or never make it to the media that are out there. It's really unbelievable. And you know, everybody's asking the question, well, why don't they tell us? And why don't they?
Well, why don't they? Are they afraid it's going to scare us?
But it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. I mean, the government thinks that we would all just panic, but it would dawn a new era. That's for sure. It would be the dawn of a new era.
With at least 2 billion stars in our universe, somewhere in deep space there are probably planets with civilizations built by living creatures.
The question, are we alone in the universe, is a mystery that has baffled humankind. There have been many accounts of people who have witnessed unidentified flying objects, but there has never been a video quite like this.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
In April of this year, the Pentagon officially declassified 3 videos filmed by fighter pilots aboard the USS Nimitz and the USS Roosevelt. The videos appear to show an unidentified aircraft speeding through the sky.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
The videos have been widely considered as official documentation of a UFO.
It doesn't look like an airplane. It's hard to get any kind of a wing shape there. Certainly doesn't look like a flying saucer.
Jim Kidrick is the president and CEO of the San Diego Air and Space Museum. A former fighter pilot himself, Kidrick has always been interested in anything that takes flight.
Trying to identify it, figure out what it was, is the classic question we always ask ourselves.
That mystery of what was really out there has apparently been nagging top military officials too. On Friday, the Pentagon sent out this press release detailing the establishment of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, or UAP, task force.
Individuals, no preconceived notions of what they were seeing, and coming out on the other side believing we're not alone.
So skeptics would look at this and think, there's a certain type of person who'll believe in a UFO. Did you find that? Is there a certain type of person?
No. I mean, when we're talking about UFO witnesses, we all have these ideas of, people in the backwoods having these experiences. They've maybe had a few too many beers, but this is not the case. I've interviewed doctors, law enforcement, news reporters, everyone you can possibly think of, your barista at the coffee shop. These are the people having these experiences and being dramatically changed by them.
So you've had a UFO experience?
I have. I saw a UFO when I was a child, and I was terrified of what I saw. I could not explain it. My father witnessed this with me. He could not explain it, and it terrified me, and it kind of sent me on this path to try to find answers.